What do I know? I'm just a girl on the internet. I'm going to make this very brief, and this will be the last time, I promise, that I talk about this. Because every time I seem to mention how much I love the podcast, the continuity, uploading every single week for you guys, something technical happens. And guess what? I don't have a team. So guess who's got to fix it? Me. Before I hit record on anything in this room, I quadruple checked that things were recording, the lights were on, my voice is coming through the mic here. And I spent the last week researching how to max out the settings on my camera so that I had clear, crisp, quality video for you guys. Because I know a thing or two about photography, videography, but every other episode, when it was coming out entirely out of focus or blurry, was driving me a little bit crazy. Just a little bit. So I spent the week doing my homework. We've got new lights. We've got some new equipment. I actually now have a external monitor that is above my camera so I can see myself a little better to make sure I'm in focus. So if this doesn't come out absolutely perfect, I'm going to lose my mind. So there's that. I feel like that was brief enough. Anyways, welcome back to the podcast. This is Girl on the Internet. I'm your girl on the internet, Kayla. Thanks for clicking on this episode and for listening this week. Hope your day is going well. Let's talk about it. I have been binge watching Love is Blind. Am I a little bit addicted to it? Yes. Is it my new current hyperfixation show? Also, yes. Am I a little extra attached to this season because they are filming in Charlotte and these are Charlotte people? Also, yes. As of this morning, I went on a really nice walk this morning on my day off, got a coffee. I was just having a great little day. I decided to come home and just catch up on all the episodes. I had like 3 left. So now I'm all the way up to date. And then when does the next episode come out? They have it like listed on Netflix. And I literally took a photo of it because I was like, I need to schedule out when I'm watching it. February 28th, the next 2 episodes come out. So if you are invested, if you're watching this season, make sure you're caught up before February 28th because I'm so excited. Just like keep watching it. It's just such a good little show to watch. It's also, I do think like the idea of the show is so fascinating as well. And I don't think any other reality love show has done anything like this. Like you think the franchises of like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, like it's always you're meeting everybody in a group setting and you're narrowing it down to that capacity, but this is totally different. So I really, really enjoy it. Today's non-sponsored beverage of the podcast is an Olipop cherry cola flavor. Do we like the ASMR? Or is that annoying? I don't really know. I have a few leftover flavors that are particularly more red or pink in themed. I hosted a Galentine's a couple days ago with some of my girlfriends, and we had a lovely time. Highly recommend crafting with your friends, getting together, having a little girl dinner, having a little charcuterie board, have a little gossip sesh, painting something, crafting something. So good. So I have a cherry cola. I think I have some leftover strawberry vanillas as well, but I actually haven't had a cherry cola Olipop in a while. So, and this is episode 5,000 of me asking Olipop to sponsor me because, girl, come on now. Ooh, I forgot how good that flavor actually is. Also, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how much my camera will like zoom in and show you this now. But I got this really cute case from Casetify. And if you're not watching the video form, I'll try to explain it. But it just is like a little abstract painted back of the case that's like a off-white case. And it just says you are exactly where you need to be. And all of the O's are hearts with little like eyes in them, little like smiley faces. Very, very cute. I love it. I always appreciate cheesy little quotes like this because sometimes in life, especially navigating through your 20s, there are a lot of times when you think, am I doing the right things? Am I making the right decisions? What am I doing with my life? And, I definitely talk about those sorts of topics a lot on this podcast specifically, just the general idea of navigating through your 20s, through adulthood, sort of this post-school, college, being raised under your parents' roof kind of lifestyle when everything is suddenly your decision, your choice, and your responsibility, essentially. As much as I preach on this podcast that life doesn't have a timeline and you're exactly where you need to be and things are going to work out for you, there are definitely still moments, for me especially, where I sit down and I'm like, what am I actually doing? Like, am I doing life right? Am I actually where I need to be? Like, what's happening? And I think recently that's been on my mind specifically because I have a few friends who just have recently purchased houses and we're the same age. Of course, anytime you open social media in your late 20s, someone else is getting engaged, someone else is pregnant. There's just a lot of pressure, and it's very easy to see that and then just sort of start to spiral and question everything that you're doing. But again, it is a really good reminder to just think in some odd way, things do happen for a reason. There is some kind of greater reason or purpose for why you are where you are and what's happening at a certain time in your life. And I'm kind of also a big believer in if it's meant to be, it won't pass you by. I think some of the opportunities that we get in life are meant to be, and then things that don't work out for us, like it doesn't mean that another door isn't going to open for you or there won't be some other thing out there that's almost even better than what you initially had hoped for. Which gives me a nice little segue into today's episode, just talking about what it has been like for me in the last year to be living alone, because I'm actually approaching my 1-year anniversary, if you want to call it that, of living by myself. I started a little series over on my YouTube channel called like Living Alone Diaries. I am not the first one to have done this. I didn't like invent this creative series or whatever. It has just been really interesting to have lived my life over this last year entirely on my own. Granted, yes, of course, like my family, my friends, like people are still in my life. It's not like I've shut everybody out and I'm just having to figure out life on my own. But this element of living alone, I feel, has changed me so much in a way that I can't fully explain unless you've done it for yourself. I sort of took the non-traditional route of life. I went through high school, I went through college. I didn't go to a university. I went to a community college where I commuted for 4 years. So I lived at home with my parents. So I went from being under my parents' roof for 22 years of my life to then picking up and moving in with my best friend. And it was a fantastic, 3-4 years that we lived together. And it came to a point where, she got engaged. It was time for her to move out and move on. And then I was just sort of like, I can either reach out to some of my friends, I can search around, try to find a roommate. I definitely didn't want to go like the random roommate route by any means, because like not trying to do that. So I thought about, okay, maybe I can reach out to some friends. Like I can definitely see what other people are doing, or I can just take a leap of faith and just try this whole living by myself kind of thing. And it was scary at first. I think especially being a woman, a young woman, there are definitely some not so great thoughts that will roll through your head about living alone, being alone, security, safety, all of those things, which is sad, but it is the reality of being a woman, if any of you can relate to that. But in this year, it's been a lot more different than I had expected it to be. There have been moments of sadness, of loneliness, of, joy. It's also so strange because, and this is going to sound stupid because it's an obvious, like you live alone, you got to do things alone, but just daily things or moments when I feel like I need help with something and there's no one to ask for help. I'm bringing in like a ton of like bags or groceries or things, moving furniture around. I'm like, it's just me. Like, could I go out of my way, call a friend, call someone to come over and help me? Absolutely. But in the moment when you're just trying to navigate and move things around, you're not going to call up a friend. You're just going to try to do it yourself and figure it out. So in a way, that's been interesting. And I think that's actually been helpful for someone like me. If anyone's familiar with the Enneagram, I always mention it and I always say like, oh, I'll talk about it in an episode, and I have yet to do it. But the Enneagram is a personality quiz. It's like a board. I think there's 9 personalities on it. I've taken multiple tests and they've all said I'm a type 2, which is the helper. So I'm always somebody that, I like to do all the things. I do everything for myself, for others. And on top of that, I'm also somebody that will always reach out to other people. Do you need help with this? Can I help? How can I help? Let me know if I can help. So having that personality tied into now living alone, I've almost learned the importance of actually asking people for help instead of just being someone that's constantly asking other people, hey, do you need my help? I've now kind of learned the importance of me being the one to ask for help, to reach out to people and saying like, hey, I need some help. I need some assistance with something. Can you come do this for me? That has never been my area of comfort at all. I would rather sweat my butt off and do all this intense labor and figure things out for myself than ask for help. And that's definitely been a quality of mine that I've tried to work on over the years, is just not being afraid to ask for help. It's not that I'm afraid. It's just, A, I'm a little stubborn, and then B, that personality of just like, I'm the helper. I don't want to ask for help. I want to give the help when necessary. So bringing all that back in, because, when I talk, I'm like, I literally, there's no linear thought when I talk. It's like a big old and then the point is like way over here. Living alone has taught me that it is okay to ask for help. It is okay to get help. It is okay to have people in your life that you can rely on, and that you have people that your go-to people, or that would be, you also sort of learn the groups of people or those certain individuals that would go out of their way to help you at a moment's notice. And I think that's really important as well, is just seeing these friendships and people in your life, acquaintances, work, coworkers, whatever, in a new light, because you're like, okay, these are the people that I need to stay in my circle because I trust them, I value them, they're helpful, those sorts of things. I've also really started to learn and understand the difference between being alone and loneliness. It is a whole other world living alone. That's like a blanket statement. It is another entirely separate world living alone while being single. Very different. Granted, have not been in a relationship during the time that I've been living by myself, but I can imagine there is something so entirely different about that process and how that would feel to somebody else. And granted, yes, I have my friends over from time to time. They come to hang out. They come to give me company. We're hanging, we're doing things. I still go out with my friends and do things to socialize and all of that. But there is just something so specific about living alone and then being single during that time. And I've always been somebody, I think too, that it's sort of a double-edged sword in terms of hyper independence. Like, I can be self-sufficient. I don't mind doing things by myself. I can travel alone. I can eat alone. I can do so many things by myself and I don't mind it. I actually prefer it sometimes. But I have found myself in this last year with moments of sadness and feeling kind of lonely and thinking, man, wouldn't it be so much better if I just lived with somebody? Wouldn't it be better if I was in a relationship right now and I just had someone to talk to on the phone, early in the morning, late at night, when I am just by myself, scrolling on TikTok, watching a movie, reading on my Kindle, something like that. And again, not to say I don't have friends that I can't reach out to and do the same, but of course a platonic and a romantic relationship are very different. I think we all know that, obviously. But in this last year, I've had to make an effort for myself to go out of my way to make sure that I am socializing, to make sure that I am including myself in conversations, in plans, in activities, in events, because otherwise I will do that little, oh, hello, Daphne, who just jumped out of nowhere. Where did you even come from? I don't even know what I was saying. I didn't write notes on my iPad today, so if you think I'm a little all over the place more than normal, that's why. I don't have anything to keep my train of thought going, because it took me forever to set up my new situation here. Making sure I'm including myself in plans and forcing myself to be a little extra social. Now, I would argue living with someone, living alone, I still am an introvert. I am more of a homebody, and I also grew up that way for no other reason other than just like I like to. Like, I've been going to therapy, I've talked about it. I don't think that there is a root to that. I'm like, it's a lot of work to like go out, like get dressed, like you got to like an Uber and you're drinking and you're spending money. Like, ugh. Like it's fun. I love it. I will go out and have a great time, but majority of the time, and that's like why I didn't want to go to a university, college, because I knew that that would be my life. It would be constant socialization, going out, like saying yes to things, never really having time alone, especially if you were to like get a roommate or something. So I feel like that's just ingrained in my personality at this point. And again, to no fault of like something traumatic other than that's just me. That's just my preference. So essentially having a conversation with myself and allowing time and energy for certain events and activities and time with my friends so I don't self-sabotage and end up staying home alone and sulking and then complaining that I'm lonely and that I'm having FOMO and whatever else. I feel like that has also been a very valuable lesson and thing for me to learn too, because I am very much an all or nothing person in a lot of aspects of my life. Unfortunately, we're working on that. But in terms of like socialization, for example, I'm either super social, doing something every day, all the time, 24/7, every weekend, like overcommitting myself and then burning myself out, or I'm completely self-isolating. And then I'm just like rotting in bed, staying alone, being alone, doing things by myself, and then feeling lonely. So I've been really working on trying to find that middle ground that is normalcy. And I do feel like living alone has sort of got me to that point because I have discovered how to find that sweet spot of I'm ready to socialize. I have a full social battery. I can tolerate going out, doing things, committing to a plan, to an event, whatever, and then not feeling like I'm a bad friend or not flaking on people's plans or whatever. I also now am more aware of when I am doing those socialization activities and I'm putting myself out there. I know when my social battery has run dry and I do need to take that time for myself to recoup, to resituate, and then I can go out again in a couple days or go do something in a few more days because I've rested, I've recovered, I have more energy, and I'm ready to give my friend group, my friends, my parents, like me again. I'm ready to give them the energy that I have regained in that time. Because I am somebody who values time alone, I value my independence, I value time spent alone, I have learned in this last year how to make things be and feel more intentional, being intentional with my time, being intentional with my energy, being intentional with whom, I don't know, who I give my energy to, how I utilize it, how I'm prioritizing just things in my life, like prioritizing sleep versus, going out and staying out super late and then feeling terrible the next day, prioritizing work, essentially being intentional with my time, my space, my energy, and just myself altogether. I've learned a lot about how to process my emotions, my energy, what I'm willing to give to others, what I'm willing to receive from others, and just how I want to go forth with life and how I'm setting my intentions instead of doing that all or nothing thing where I'm overcommitting and overstimulating myself and then feeling terrible and not like myself, or the polar opposite where I'm self-secluding, self-sabotaging, being alone and feeling lonely versus, hey, I found this really great middle ground where I can be a friend to everybody else. I can invite people over for Valentine's Day. We can go out and have a good time on a weekend. It's just balance. And I mean, unfortunately, that is so much what life is, balance, right? With everything, work-life balance, relationship balance, balance with food, balance with anything, right? Fill in the blank. Balance is so important. And I think that's where, myself included, so many people struggle because balance is freaking hard. Like it just is. What's your work-life balance like? When I was in school, what was the balance between homework and socializing and free time? And, maybe you're somebody that has kids and a spouse. How are you balancing time being like a parent, but also having a relationship with your significant other and a relationship with your children? Balance is just freaking hard, and it's just one of those things that as humans on this earth, we all have to do. And some of us are just better at it than others. And some people struggle and some people struggle more. And I've learned a lot. As I've mentioned, in this year of living alone. And I hope I continue to learn more about balance and setting standards and finding the just balance. Yeah, finding the sweet spot of how I want to continue to live my life. And the other thing that I want to mention about all of this and living alone is ideally, this is a season for me. This is just one chapter in my life. I, again, have mentioned I am pretty hyper independent. I do things alone. I can function alone. But I'm hoping that this is a season, right? Eventually, yes, one day would love to be married, would love to move on with my life, do other things. Do I eventually get a house and like have my friends live with me, roommates? Like, do I eventually just move on to getting married? You know, this to me feels like a chapter. And I think too, that's why I do feel so, I don't know, I feel so soft about this time of my life, because you don't get to be in your 20s forever. You don't get to be any age forever, obviously. But your 20s, you know, such a monumental time for growth, for learning, for building who you are as a person, for relationships, for trial, for error. And I think I want to look back one day on my 20s, and especially my late 20s. Oh my God, I'm so old. I want to look back on these moments and these memories and think, you know what? I'm glad I lived by myself. I'm glad I had that time to myself to even learn who I am, learning about my messy habits or my ability to clean the kitchen, to stay up to date on chores, on cleaning, on groceries. Because obviously, again, sounds like a stupid statement, but just speaking clearly, when you live alone, you're responsible for everything. If the toilet paper is empty, you have to replace it. You live alone. If you are doing dishes and the dishwasher's full, hey, you got to empty it. You live alone. So it also prides me to learn about myself and to get to know who I am, who Kayla really is, and how is Kayla going to be when she meets that significant other and they live together, or if she, you know, ventures out into the world again and lives with other people. Like, how am I going to be different from this experience? I'm laughing because Daphne keeps reaching her paw out to me because she wants to be pet. She wants her little scritchies. So if you're a video viewer, I hope you're enjoying this, and hopefully you can see her. I like to think of life as seasons and of chapters, and again, really just soaking in these moments. And I know so many of my close friends and coworkers, they never really had an opportunity like this. Some people are envious of this time of my life where I get to live alone and do things by myself and call the shots and do that. And then other people are like, I would never want to do that. And I've actually had friends reach out to me and ask for advice on, hey, like, my boyfriend is out of town for the weekend. What do I do by myself? Like, how do I entertain myself? Or, hey, you know, I'm traveling somewhere for work and I have to stay alone in a hotel room. What's your advice? I have gotten so many people to ask me that because I feel that I do know how to do things by myself, and I do feel like I know how to entertain myself and not having my space occupied by somebody else and not being responsible for what somebody else is doing. So of course it goes both ways. It's not for everybody, although I do think everybody should experience at least at one point in their life living alone. Again, whether that's for a year or it's for 3 months, I think it's a good learning opportunity, as with so many things in life, of course. But there is just something about living alone where you get to discover who you are, what you like, who you are as a person, your intentions, your goals. And I think that can overall make you a stronger person when you begin to put yourself into romantic relationships, when you come back to these platonic friendships that you have. How can you be a better person? How can you take what you've learned from living alone and implement that into your life outside of just the living alone? Again, I think it would be cool for everyone to experience it. I do know it's not for everybody, though. I know that that's not for everybody, but I do feel that there is something so therapeutic and important about that time alone. And I kind of feel that way too in other areas of life. Like when some people are in very long-term relationships with somebody else, a significant other. And I'm not speaking for everybody and I'm not judging, but people that go from one long-term relationship to another, to another, to another, and you don't get that time to figure out who you are because you've only ever known yourself in these long-term relationships, right? my thought, my advice, what would be my preference is if I came out of a long-term relationship, I would want to really soak up that single time and figure out who am I? Who am I when I'm not in a relationship? Who am I when I am in a relationship? What am I looking for? What do I want? And again, that's not for everybody. Look at my girl T Swift. Love her. Don't know how she does it. I mean, granted, we only see what the media shows us. We have no idea her actual timeline and if she's broken up with somebody way before the media gets to it. But I just think, dang, girl, have you had a single era in a minute? Because I would love to see it. I would love an album. Okay, where is Taylor Swift's album for the single girls? Where is that? Because I need that in my life. I need a single girl Taylor Swift album. Okay, everything is about relationships. Where is the single girl album? We're never going to get one. She's with Travis Kelce and, the rest is history. But anyways, I digress. I think living alone is fantastic. I don't think it's meant to be a forever thing for me or for anybody, but I mean, to each their own. It's a fabulous experience. All at the same time, while it is fabulous, it's exciting, it's fun, it is emotional, it is eye-opening. It's so many things, but I do feel as though you can use all of those descriptive words as well to talk about your life or life in your 20s. It's exciting, it's exhilarating, it's fun, it can be depressing, it can be lonely. Like it is all those things. And again, this is just a chapter for me. And it's been a chapter that I've thoroughly enjoyed. I've gotten to reflect on it. I've gotten to grow from it. I've learned a lot about myself and about how I navigate through life and relationships and work and how I prioritize myself on top of everything. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. And if you want to see more about it, if you want to have a more visual look into that, be sure to check out my YouTube channel. I have a series on my channel called the Living Alone Diaries. I have like a separate playlist for that if you're interested in those videos. I like to use those videos as a little bit more of like a cinematic kind of really playing around with camera angles and voiceovers and not doing so much of like a vlogging style situation, but more of just like a slow-paced, quiet, calm video. And I really enjoy those, and I'm going to keep filming them for as long as I can because again, hopefully one day I am with someone and I'm not living alone and it'll be something to like look back on. And again, just having that as a season in my life to remember and to one day talk about and to share with other people. And I think it's been quite the year. It's coming up in like a couple weeks. Again, will be the 1 year mark. And for the foreseeable future, I'm continuing to live alone. But I did want to just share that with you guys and talk about it. And again, I've had so many of not only my close friends, but people that watch the podcast, my YouTube channel, people that are subscribers to my content that I've grown kind of close to, just reaching out to me and talking to me about it. And I think it's a really cool thing. It's a great conversation. And I just love to share my experience on that. So if you ever get the opportunity to live alone, just go for it. It sounds terrifying. It's scary. I highly recommend getting some cameras inside or outside of your apartment. Get some things to like extra secure, lock up your door. Don't ever live on the first floor. That would be my tip and recommendation, but definitely do it. Don't be afraid. Give it a try. And I think it's worth it. It's kind of like how I think everyone should work in the service industry at least once in their life to just gain perspective, because that's what it's all about, is perspective. Okay? People would not be rude to waiters and waitresses if they worked in a restaurant for 6 months of their life or a year. Okay? That'll really shape you as a person. Let me tell you that. Okay? You're looking at 6 years right here. 6 years of working in the service industry. To this day, I still have nightmares from the restaurant I worked at. Yup. I've been working in healthcare for 5. Worked in service industry for 6. Still have server nightmares to this day. To this day. Why? Can someone explain that to me? Why is that still happening? It's terrible. I need to have some kind of like Men in Black therapy where they just like shine a light in your eye and make you forget all those memories. Because, oh my God, if I could go to sleep just for the rest of my life and not have a dream about working in a restaurant again, I would be okay with that. But instead, I suffer at least 3 times a week about my restaurant experience. it did shape me as the person, but damn, can I catch a break? Daphne, can I catch a break? She has no comment at this time. Anyways, that's going to do it for me in this episode. Apologies if it was a little all over the place. Maybe you're driving to work right now and you're like, Kayla, that made no sense. Hey, Kayla, next time get a note card. Hey, girl, get the iPad. Okay, you need some notes. I feel like I definitely do better when I have like an outline, because the brain, girl, she's like a spaghetti noodle. Like there is nothing straight about that. All right, I'm going to stop right there. You are still going to get your random fun fact, and we've got a little extra bonus fun fact because this should be my last episode for February, and it's a leap year this year, which means we have a 29th day of February instead of our normal 28. So I've got a couple random fun facts about leap year. I'm going to hit you with a couple because you only get one every 4 years. So let's just load them up. All right. 4 million people in the world are leap day babies. Happy birthday to all of you. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, how crazy to be a leap year baby. You get gypped, honestly. Like, I think I get gypped as a December baby, being like, oh, people are like, happy birthday, Christmasness, like all like one card together. But really, like, hearts, thoughts, and prayers out to the leap year babies who have to either celebrate their birthday on their non-actual birthday, so the 28th of February, or March 1st. I guess you could pick and choose, though. But anyway, leap day babies are called leapers or leapings. It's adorable. There is a 1 in 1,461 chance of being a leap day baby. There are a few famous people born on February 29th. Every year divisible by 4 is a leap year. Well, yeah, because it's every 4. Every year divisible by 4 is a leap year, but every year divisible by... Okay, that's stupid. Cut that. I say as I talk to myself in the editing process. Okay, I don't like these math ones. Unless the year is also divisible by 400, then it's still a leap year. Cut that. There will be 8 years between leap... All right, I'm done. Those were your random fun facts. They got stupid. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you go easy on yourself, and I will see you with another episode next week. Bye. 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 Daphne. Say bye.